Good evening.
Broadcasting live from the Hilltop Nissan Studios. Hilltop Nissan, Route 10 East Hanover, and HilltopNissan.com. This is Classic Oldies WMTR. The following sound advice program was paid for by Marketing Ideas and Beyond. The views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff, management, and advertisers of WMTR. Time now for Talking Sports. Here's your host, Jonathan Friedman.
Good evening, New Jersey. It's Thursday, and we're talking 50. I'm Jan Friedman, and 9687. That's 973-267 WMTR ABSautomotive.com. Also, we're streaming the show. Go to WMTRAM.com. Click on that red button, and you'll get us on your mobile device, laptop, etc. And enjoy the show on the World Wide Web. Lots to go over in the next hour, including the finals in the NHL, that is, are all set. We'll talk about Las Vegas and Washington matchup. The NBA's Western Conference Finals took an interesting twist. We'll discuss. Can the Celtics close out the Cavs in Game 6? We'll find out tomorrow night. This week's New Jersey's Star Ledger Top 10 Girls Varsity Lacrosse Teams is out. And we'll take a look at the NCAA Final Four in lacrosse being played in Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. College football's not too far away. We'll take a look at the Rutgers Scarlet Knights 2018 schedule. Sports news, your 973 WMTR ADSautomotive.com. As I mentioned, we're streaming at WMTRAM.com. Also, you can get me right now on YouTube. If you go to Talking Sports with Jonathan Friedman, you'll get us on YouTube. You'll see the live button. You hit that, and you'll get me there visually. Also on Facebook, if you send if you type in Jonathan Friedman as a friend request, I will quickly accept it, and you can watch the show visually there. So, and also you can follow the show and me on Twitter at John Sports Talk, and you can follow me there. All right. So, and one more thing, as usual lately, I've got a family pack of 4 for the Somerset Patriots baseball, right down 287, not too far away. Great place to take the kids to watch baseball. And I'm going to give those away to the 4th caller at 973-267 WMTR. So I'm going to start off tonight. We're going to talk a little NHL hockey real quickly just to get things going. So as you know, the Las Vegas Knights, the second team, the second expansion team to go to an NHL Finals, obviously in their first season. The last team to do that was the 1967 St. Louis Blues. They lost in the Cup final, so the Knights are trying to do something that has never been done. They got a tough task ahead of them. They've been waiting, and you're wondering if, does that hurt? Oh, I don't know. Does that hurt? I'm so shocked. That's why. Does that hurt the Knights? Because, when you're hot, you want to keep playing. And now they've been off for maybe a week now, or close to a week. So Washington last night, impressive. A Game 7 road win in Tampa Bay. And I got to tell you, the NHL must be thrilled because they've got Washington, they've got the superstar in Ovechkin, and they've got this team that nobody knows much about. But there's intrigue, and that's what's going to bring television ratings together. And interesting, though, Washington, and I'm going to credit this to if he's listening out there, someone in my office, his name's Kurt Pratchik. He's a PR guy, but, anytime I want to talk about some things, they may be controversial on the show, I'll go to him. He's a PR guy, and we'll discuss it. And tonight I went to him, and I'll give you my feelings about the NFL and the whole rule about the American flag and the whole thing. We talked about it, and we're going to give you my perspective later in the show. But here's the deal. So the Washington Capitals, everybody says now that they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's been, by the way, since 1998 that the Capitals have appeared in an NHL Final. Here's the deal. So everybody says that, and not many people talked about this, that they got over the hump in beating Pittsburgh. Did they really get did they really get over the hump beating Pittsburgh? And I'm going to tell you why. Kind of interesting. Did a little research today. And when they couldn't beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, there was a goaltender in goal. And his name was Marc-Andre Fleury. And guess he is the goalie for? The Golden Knights of Las Vegas. So is it that they couldn't beat the Pittsburgh Penguins? Or is it that they couldn't beat Marc-Andre Fleury? He was drafted in the expansion draft. They weren't able to hold on to him in Pittsburgh, and he's been their Stanley Cup goalie through this little run they had. So pretty interesting what the deal is. So, did they really get over the whole mental thing with Pittsburgh, or are they about to face the real challenge that they have yet to face with Marc-Andre Fleury? Just an interesting fact. Not many people have talked about that, and it's a great point. So we'll see about the Cowboys, but it should be a really good finals, I believe. They start on either Saturday or Sunday. And I'll fill you in a little later. I can't even remember who has home. I'm assuming the Knights have the home field advantage. And what's interesting is that during the season, and as you know, we followed it. We checked out the standings because of the Devils mainly, but we checked out. Washington didn't start off very fast this year. They kind of actually started off slow, but once they start moving, they started playing well, and you got to feel good for Ovechkin. This is his first time in the Stanley Cup, and he's the face of that franchise. So it should really be kind of an interesting Washington Capitals. So kudos to both of those teams, and I tell you, in hockey, unlike other sports, maybe basketball too, when you get to a finals or a championship, you've earned it. I mean, with all the banging and scratching for all these series, you've earned it. So kudos to them. Should be a good finals, and later in the show I'll tell you exactly when, where, who's, and how many games and all that kind of stuff. So, should be rather interesting. So, by the way, and I went back and looked at franchises, expansion franchises in the NHL and in the three majors. So I wanted to quickly give you the worst of the expansion teams and the best of expansion teams. So obviously the best hockey expansion team has been the Golden Knights in history, all right? But it used to be and it's funny that they're playing the Capitals. The worst of all, the Los Angeles Angels, the best as an expansion, they finished only 21 games under the Team 62 Mets with a 40-120 record. Ow. So in the NBA, the Chicago Bulls, they came in 66-67. They were 33-48. And the best NBA record was the Vancouver Grizzlies, who, by the way, are no longer in Vancouver. The worst, I'm sorry, the best. They were the worst NBA expansion team with a record of 15-67. And the best in the NFL was the 95 Carolina Panthers at 79. And the worst was, matter of fact, I'm going to make this a trivia. To the third caller on this trivia question, you got to answer it, and if you answer it on Facebook, I'll get you tickets to a Somerset Patriots or maybe a free concert that we have here at WMTR over at the sister station. All right. So who was the worst of all expansion NFL teams? What year? And what was the team? And what was the record? All right. And when we come back, I'll ask you that question again. And the coach of that team has a famous quote that every time I see it on the highlights, it makes my stomach hurts from laughing because it's just pretty funny. So just a quick look at that. We've got the NBA. Can Cleveland tomorrow night, can they stay alive, or can Boston show me something finally and win a road game? I mean, I want to see a team look what Houston did the other night. We'll talk about that. They played tonight when we come back from the break. They played tonight against Golden State at home, and now this is what they call a pivotal Game 5, all right? I didn't give them a chance in heck to win any games in Golden State, and they proved me wrong. And also, Golden State has some injuries now. We'll talk about that when we get back from the break. And what else do we got on tap here? I'll go through some other stuff here. So it's rather interesting, hockey and basketball. Later, we'll go over the Rutgers football schedule for the fall. I did my wins and losses. I'll share them with you, and you're going to be really surprised. So I'll tell you what, MK, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we got a lot to go over. We got your phone calls at 973-267-9687. That's 973-267 WMTR. I'm John Friedman. MK's behind the glass. What a beautiful day in New Jersey today. Ho! We'll be right back.
social media options, it's become a major problem for advertisers to get their message in front of the right audience. There is a solution, however, and it's called SCG, Advertising and Public Relations. SCG is a full-service advertising and public relations agency that can help you navigate the media landscape and reach your potential customer. SCG understands the options available and will work with you to determine the best creative and media plan for your business. Visit scgadv.com and let us help you tell the world your story. You're invited to take part in or donate to the Liver Life Walk, sponsored by the American Liver Foundation. It features a fun festival-type atmosphere, including activities for kids, food, entertainment, and information about liver disease. The walk is at Varela Park on Sunday, June 10th. Registration begins at 9 a.m. The walk gets underway at 10:30 and concludes by to register, go to liverlifewalk.org/New Jersey. And taking a look at the Ion weather forecast, we'll have clear skies tonight with a low of 57. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun with a high of 86. And on Saturday, partly cloudy with an afternoon shower, maybe even thunderstorms in the area and a high of 87. We'll have rain early on Sunday with overcast skies later in the day. 75 degrees with the broadcast bar today on 1250 Classical is WMTR, broadcasting live at WMTRAM.com and also available via your Alexa device. And now back to Talking Sports with Jonathan Friedman.
All right, we're back. We're talking sports on a Thursday. Give me a call on the ADS Automotive Diagnostic Services call-in line at 973-267-9687. That's 973-267-WMTR, ADSautomotive.com. I'm just looking on Facebook, and Kurt Pratchett, you were right. I'm assuming you did not Google it, but I'm not going to share what the answer was. Talking sports. Public relations in Parsippany. And I'd like to tell you about how SCG can help advertisers reach their potential customers in today's fast-paced, technology-driven world. There are so many options, from all the traditional media to the practically limitless digital and social platforms that are available, making it harder than ever for businesses to get their message in front of the right audience. Well, SCG, we help our clients strengthen their relationships, reputations, and brands by integrating their message across the entire media spectrum. We understand the options available to advertisers, and we will work with you to determine the best creative and media plan for your business. To learn more about SCG Advertising and Public Relations by visiting scgadv.com. That's scgadv.com. We'll help you reach your potential customers, all of them.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without imaging them isn't easy. Renting a unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, closet, and insured, and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are perfectly controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-978-3127 now for the season's best rate. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO15. That's 877-978-3127. 877-978-3127.
Selfless service is the guiding principle that drives Army National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster strikes. Every Army National Guard member serves not only to protect the nation, but also their local communities, so they each have a stake in the security and well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They are our next door neighbor, and your comrades in schools, offices, and everywhere. Since the early days of our job, the Army National Guard has continued its tireless commitment to guarantee peace and security for all Americans. A proud legacy which has endured for nearly 4 centuries. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times, for family, for community, and for country. Selfless service, it's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area. Sponsored by the New Jersey Army National Guard, aired by the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station. Broadcasting live from the Hilltop Nissan Studios. Classic Oldies, WMTR Morristown, a Beasley Media Group station.
All right, we're back. We're talking sports on a Thursday. Give me a call on the ADS Automotive Diagnostic Services call-in line at 973-267-9687. That's 973-267-WMTR. ADS Automotive.com. All right, we're going to go back to the phone lines. And Joe from Patterson, you're on Talking Sports on a Thursday.
Hey, great show as always.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. I got to talk college basketball.
Yeah, of course you do. We're ready. Every time you call, we're ready. The audience is ready because you're our college basketball guy.
Good. Yeah, I was having a good talk with my friend the other day about Al McGuire when he coached Marquette.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee, Wisconsin, he got all these New York kids to come out there. And it was amazing. I mean, his assistant was Hank Raymond. Hank Raymond. He took over for a year when McGuire left. But, the thing that one of the things McGuire did, he gave the team a lot of freedom. He let them design their own uniforms. So every year, the Marquette players designed the uniforms. I remember one year they had these shirts that intentionally hung out. They were part of the uniform, matched up with the pants. And, back in Midwest basketball was amazing. The coach from DePaul, I forget his name, Myers.
Yeah.
He was up there in years, and he had an amazing run up there.
And his son took over that program after that. Remember it for a while.
Yeah.
His son. It's also when I think of Al McGuire, you know what I think of? And unless I'm wrong, and I think I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I think of the Omni in Atlanta in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Isn't that where he played? That's where did he win the Final Four that year? I'm not. And that was at the Omni in Atlanta. I thought so. So he was. You know what? He was so charismatic too. He was a good color guy on television during games. Really good, and he really established obviously the Marquette program.
Amazing. Yeah. Do you remember back then? I think the championship game came on a Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock. It wasn't a big deal. But at 3 o'clock they had the third place game, the losers from the 2 days before.
Yeah, the consolation, yeah.
Yeah, meaningless game. Amazing. But it's amazing what attendance and everything else has happened to that sport.
Kids today, and I mean kids, I guess I'm going to say, I'll just take a guess of 30 and younger. I'll just use that. They have no idea the NIT was the preferred tournament at one time.
Oh, yeah. It was amazing. And I remember Manhattan was a hot team, and St. John's, and I look back. I really have to salute what Wooden did. How he got all these kids to go to UCLA, because back then UCLA was never on TV. It was a different time zone.
Yeah.
And to find out anything about UCLA, you had to read it in the paper 2 days later.
Oh, yeah. Well, our whole world has changed that way. Thank God, because, it's interesting. But, I always remember as a kid or, younger, you run to go get that paper because you want to look at the box scores. You want to see what the deal was. You don't have to do that anymore. So
I remember the good old days. I still loved the Post. They had a morning edition, and then they had like a early evening edition.
Yeah, yep.
The Yankee scores and the Mets scores, yeah.
It's a different time, and that's when AM radio was real popular.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember, there was a sports guy I picked him up at night. That's the only time I could pick up this station in Cleveland. But he was like famous.
Yeah, the guy who Joe, I'm trying to think, and he went to WFAN. At the end of his career, I can't think of his name, but in Atlanta, growing up in college, I would listen to him. He was on at night. He was very gruff, but an iconic guy for 3WE. He was on 3WE in Cleveland, so that's a power AM. What was his name?
On a clear night, you could pick it up.
Absolutely. And I can't, if any of our YouTube watchers or Facebook, give me a name because I can't remember his name. It's bothering me now. So, but that's a great call. All right, Joe, we're going to move on. Thank you so much for the call. You got it, buddy. Have a great weekend. All right, so let me give you the girls lacrosse top 10 this week in the Star Ledger. Number 10 is Eastern. Number 9 is Rumson. Number 8, right down the street here, is Morristown. Number 7 is Ridge. Number 6 is Haddonfield. Number 5 is Bridgewater Raritan. Number 4 is Oak Knoll. Number 3 is Summit. Number 2, Moorestown. And the number 1 this week girls lacrosse varsity team in the state of New Jersey, i.e. the Star Ledger, is Ridgewood. So congratulations to them. Also, as I teased you when we started the show, I wanted to take a look at the Rutgers schedule. We're not too far away from college football. Believe it or not, we're going to hit June real quickly. Then all of a sudden it's going to be July, and then these kids get to training camp. NFL, college, yada, yada, yada. So I went and took a look at the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and when I did this, I based it in what I thought was happening from last year, you know, where I saw some improvements and stuff. So I went ahead, let's take a look at the schedule. I shared it with our audience on Tuesday night at WCTC, so I wanted to go over it with you. So they open up on Saturday, September 1st against Texas State. That's a W, okay? Or what should be a W, all right? Then they go to Ohio State. They'll play a close one, but they'll lose to Ohio State. Then they'll go to Kansas. That's a W. Then they'll come home and play Buffalo. That's a W. Then they'll go to Indiana. That's a W. Then they'll go to Illinois. Now, then they'll go to, I'm sorry, these are at home. Buffalo, a win. Indiana, a win. 3 in a row at home. Illinois, a win. Then they'll be at Maryland. That's a win. How about that? Then they'll go and play at Wisconsin. That may get ugly, but maybe not. The Wisconsin program was a little down last year, so maybe Rutgers can just show yourself at that game. That's what you got to do. Here's Johnny's upset special of the year. You better sit down because this may shock you. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights on November 10th are going to catch the Michigan Wolverines sleeping and shock the world and get the win. That's my prediction. You think I'm crazy, but that's what's going to happen. And then from the high of that win, they're going to go on the road and lose to Penn State. And then they will go host Michigan State at home that I've got as an L, but maybe can get one. So you're looking at a 6-7 win season for Rutgers, and that's all part of the process. But some of these wins, especially the 3 in a row, you know, the versus Buffalo at home, versus Indiana at home, versus Illinois at home, you got to win these games. You got to protect High Point Solution Stadium as a place that's hard to get a win at. So that'll be the schedule with that. So, all right, MK, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take your calls. We'll take a look at Major League Baseball. I'll fill you in on what's happening in baseball right now. Looks like we got games underway. See if there were some day games. You're listening to Talking Sports on a Thursday with me, John Friedman. Going to be a beautiful Memorial Day weekend. I hope you get out and have some beautiful weather. Hey, we'll be right back.
This portion of Talking Sports is brought to you by Ocean County College, ocean.edu. With all of today's traditional, digital, and social media options, it's become a major problem for advertisers to get their message in front of the right audience. There is a solution, however, and it's called SCG Advertising and Public Relations. SCG is a full-service advertising and public relations agency that can help you navigate today's chaotic media landscape and reach your potential customer. SCG understands the options available and will work with you to determine the best creative and media plan for your business. Visit scgadv.com and let us help you tell the world your story. You're invited to take part in or donate to the Liver Life Walk, sponsored by the American Liver Foundation. It features a fun festival-type atmosphere, including activities for kids, food, entertainment, and information about liver disease. The walk is at Verona Park on Sunday, June 10th. Registration begins at 9 a.m. The walk gets underway at 10:30 and concludes by 1. To register, go to liverlifewalk.org/New Jersey. And taking a look at the Ion weather forecast, tonight it'll be clear with a low of 57. Tomorrow, in intervals of clouds and sun with a high of 86. On Saturday, partly cloudy with afternoon showers or thunderstorms, a high of 87. We'll have rain early on Sunday with overcast skies later in the day. You're at 74 degrees at the broadcast block at AM 1250, Classic Oldies WMTR, streaming live at WMTRAM.com and also available via your Alexa device. And now back to Talking Sports with Jonathan Friedman.
All right, we're back. We're talking sports on a Thursday. Give me a call on the ADS Automotive Diagnostic Services call-in line at 973-267-9687. That's 973-267 WMTR, ADSautomotive.com. Also, I need one more caller to get yourself a family four-pack of Somerset Patriot baseball. I've been there. It's a lot of fun, and you'll have a great time with your family. All right. I don't know if you know, but it's the lacrosse NCAA Final Four this weekend up at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, and you're going to have and these are always great games here, and it becomes such a big weekend for lacrosse people, usually sometimes in Philadelphia, sometimes in Baltimore. This year it's in Foxborough. You got Maryland who will be playing Duke, and you've got Yale will be playing Little Albany. So I believe that's on Saturday. That finals kind of goes under the radar sometimes in lacrosse with everything going on and the time of year with baseball and football, all that kind of stuff. But really good lacrosse, quality lacrosse, and they draw nice crowds for this, so good for them. Don't know if you saw this today, which kind of smells to me. I don't know about this. So the Orlando Magic are interested in Michigan State's Tom Izzo. And is this an escape plan for Tom Izzo? Because right now, guilty, not guilty, none of that. Anybody who's associated with the Michigan State Spartans doesn't smell good. You can't tell me that this guy didn't have anything to do with that. That's fine, and it's all true, probably. But if you're in some way related in any way to the athletic program at Michigan State, it's not good. Disgusting. Everybody, I would think, should be clean the house everywhere at that school after what they've done. Unbelievable. And I read this week there was a settlement or whatever. You could throw all the money in the world for what they did. It won't matter. So, so is this Tom Izzo's, is this his escape and to get in the NBA? Because, you'll go to the NBA. I can promise you're not going to have the same success in the NBA as you've had in Michigan State. But anything having to do with Michigan State right now, in my mind, I don't want to talk about. I don't want anything to do with. I won't follow anything because I'm just too disgusted. MK, we got a call on line one? We do.
We do. I was typing it.
Oh, I got okay. I see. Okay, I got it. Alex in Manhattan, you're on Talking Sports on a Thursday.
Hey, John, how you doing?
How are you? Thanks for the call.
Look, I was listening to you talk earlier about the hockey, and I just have a quick comment.
Sure.
I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad for the NHL because I just think they've been completely overshadowed by the NBA. The games are on. I live in Manhattan, so the games are on channel 314 on my cable.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you don't have a deal with ESPN. The hockey people know where to find these games, but you're right. The average person is not going to know and to follow. And you're right. When they did not reach an agreement with ESPN. And the quasi-agreement with NBC, they lost a lot of audience. They'll argue they haven't, but you're absolutely right, and that's a good call on your point.
I completely forgot that last night was Game 7.
See? And I know you're a hockey guy, right? You're a hockey guy.
Yeah, I like hockey. Obviously, none of my teams are here in the Tri-State are in it. But, I like a good Game 7. Who doesn't? And I completely forgot there's no promotion about it on television, like you said, because there's no ESPN. And they're just completely lost in the shuffle. Now, I'm glad I didn't waste my time because it was a 4-0 rout, I guess.
But here's the interesting thing, and I don't know because I don't watch broadcast television. What did NBC have on last night? Why wouldn't they put the hockey game on the network? That's I don't know. Maybe they have the highest rated show that night. I don't know.
No, because I think maybe they had The Voice on last night.
Oh, well, there's the answer.
Maybe that was the night before. Yeah, right. So obviously the Voice is going to be a big ratings grabber compared to hockey.
Exactly.
But still, I feel a little bad that it's completely lost in the shuffle to this NBA.
Matter of fact, if you go, this is the ramifications. If you go to ESPN's site, right, and you see up sports on top, they give the NBA, MLB. I don't think the NHL has its own tab. I think it's combined with other tabs for other sports.
Yeah,
I think they totally, but they still have Barry Melrose and all that kind of stuff. But just kind of interesting. That's a really good point on your part, because that's it. You're right, and it was a Game 7.
Game 7, and it was completely, you barely knew it. Like you said, if you're an average hockey fan, you didn't know. All right, John, have a great week.
Hey, you too. Thanks for the call. Thanks a lot. All right, so anyway, speaking of Game 7s, let's take a quick look at Major League Baseball and the standings. So, as I told you earlier, Boston has reclaimed the standings in the American League East. They have a 1.5 lead on the Yankees, followed by Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Baltimore. In the Central, you've got Cleveland. They got a 2-game lead on Minnesota, followed by Detroit, Kansas City, and the White Sox. In the West, this is going to be a good division this year. In the American League West, Houston has a 2-game lead on Seattle and a 4-game lead on the Angels. And for you Yankee fans that thought you were going to see this kid, this Japanese pitcher player for the Angels this weekend on Sunday, you're not. They're holding them back. They want them to rest. They took a lot of business today about that, the California Angels. But hey, you know what? Just because it's New York doesn't mean they need to run the schedule and what they're going to do around the Yankees. So, they got to look after the guy's health. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves have a 1/2-game lead over Philadelphia, a 3-game lead on Washington, a 3.5-game lead on the Mets, and a 10.5-game lead on the Florida or Miami Marlins. In the Central, you got Milwaukee with a 3.5, and I picked them. That's my team in the Central. Milwaukee with a 3.5-game lead on St. Louis, followed by Pittsburgh, 3.5 back. The Cubs are 4 back. And the lowly Cincinnati Reds are 13.5 back. In the National League West, you got Colorado with a 1/2-game lead, followed by Arizona, 1/2-game lead on Colorado's a 1/2-game lead on Arizona. Look out for San Francisco. They're only 2 back. The Dodgers are 3 back. Here come the Dodgers, by the way. They're going to make a run. And San Diego's 7 back. So, and then let's take a look at the leaders in Major League Baseball. In hitting, Mookie Betts leads the American League with a .365 average. He also leads the league with 15 home runs. Machado of the Orioles is going to make it hard for a team to acquire him to get good value for the Orioles. He's got 42 RBIs. Mookie Betts has 48. Man, that guy does it all. 48 runs scored. In the National League, O'Hara of the Phillies is batting .344. Bryce Harper, 13 home runs. Javier Baez leads the National League in RBIs with 38. Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves leads the National League with runs scored. In pitching, Severino of the Yankees has 7 wins. Strikeouts, Garrett Cole of the Astros, the former Pirate, has 93. Jason Verlander with an amazing American League ERA of 1.05. And again, that's the American League. That's crazy. That's Greg Maddux kind of number. In saves, it's got Edwin Diaz with the Mariners. He has 15. In the National League in pitching, Max Scherzer has 7 wins. He also has 104 strikeouts. Martinez of the Cardinals has a 1.62 ERA, which is fabulous. And Wade Davis has 16 saves for the Rockies. So before you know it, there's going to be trade deadline talks, and the hot pitcher that everybody seems to be talking about right now is Cole Hamels, who came in and beat the Yankees this week at Yankee Stadium. So it should be interesting how many teams are going to be vying for him. And Philadelphia actually is one of those teams, but they're not going to play footsie with the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going to go with the best team possible, with a deal. And I'm looking at Facebook, and Mark Karen, thank you so much. Yes, Pete Franklin of, if Jeff from Clifton is listening, it was Pete Franklin, and he did work at 3WE in Cleveland. Thank you so much, Mark. And what else we got here? The Jets. How about the Jets and OTAs this week? Bridgewater's looking good. They traded the guy they drafted last year or 2 years out of Penn State. They traded him to the Raiders. Now you got 3 guys. And I was telling somebody today, you get lightning in a bottle, and Bridgewater could win that starting job over McCown. I think that's a great thing. He was telling me they looking to trade the guy. But listen, if you can get some good quality time out of him, let the rookie hold the clipboard and learn, what a great situation. And I'm rooting for Teddy Bridgewater because what a horrific injury he went through, and just to come back from that is truly amazing. So that's with the Jets. The Giants, Steve Paletti of NJ.com read a good article, and he agrees with me. He's saying Odell's kept his mouth shut. Right now, to date, he's kept his mouth shut lately. He's in OTAs. He's acting like a leader, and all he has to do is keep his mouth shut for the first 6 games or whatever it is, be productive, and you'll get your money. And I'm sure that's what his agent has told him. So Giants going to have a pretty interesting year. And speaking of football, I'll give you a quick opinion on my take on this whole NFL and the national anthem and the kneeling and everything. NFL's in a tough spot. And here's the deal. They didn't create this situation. Their platform was used to to have this thing happen, but they didn't create it. And they don't have an agreement with the Players Association in regards to this situation. And they were stuck. Now, they probably should just let it go, because what's going to happen is the networks love this. They will report to you. They'll put a super on the television, and it'll have everybody who's in the locker room who's not standing for the national anthem. So something else gets created. So for what they did yesterday, it was probably best just to leave it alone. But I'm hearing guys just totally abusing the NFL and their decision-making. They're in a tough spot. I want you to just keep being open-minded about that. They didn't create the issue. They're just trying to make the best of the issue. And when you're talking about the First Amendment, there's so many, it's so vague, and how many things of freedoms and everything like that, where it's not vague at all. We have freedoms to do certain things. So just a very difficult situation, and you got to be a little understanding in that, because they're stuck in a situation that they didn't ask to be in. And it's interesting also, of all 3 major sports, I don't know if you've noticed this, the national anthem in football is probably the most least watched, paid attention to anthem in all 3 sports, with baseball, basketball, and football. And just think about it. When you go to these games, you definitely are paying attention to the national anthem in basketball. You're definitely doing it in baseball. I bet you can't really remember when you did it in football. You're either at the concession stand, things are going on, or what have you. So it's probably the most least paid attention to within the stadium national anthem. That's my view of it. And that doesn't skirt the issue. There's an issue, and the NFL, I gotta believe, is just doing the best they can to solve this situation, which is a really, really tough situation. And you got to feel for them, because again, it's just not an easy thing to do. MK, what you got planned for this Memorial Day weekend?
Well, I'm going to be very industrious. I'm working all weekend.
Hey.
I will be in for Mark Mitchell on Monday morning.
Yeah, Monday's the holiday, so you got yourself an early morning there. What time do you have to be in the studio? To get here, get yourself organized and all that? That's exciting, because I'm going to be listening to you live.
And about 5 other people, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're gonna get a good on. That's a good show, Mark Mitchell's. That's a live show with traffic and weather and all that stuff. So you're gonna love that.
Yes, I will have like Post-it notes all over the studio. This is what you do. Then that's just how.
So what time do you have to be here Monday morning?
5 a.m.
And what time do you go on the air?
5:30.
5:30. So you may want to give yourself I think you should get here at 4:45.
I think so.
Just in case you run into some kind of issue. There's always some.
I run into traffic coming in.
So for all of our listeners there, MK, and Mark Mitchell in the morning, double M, he's the morning guy. MK, he's probably obviously taking that day off, and MK will be filling in there. So MK has a lot of fans out there from being the DJ here, so you'll get here in a real important spot on Monday morning. So stay to your regular schedule and wake up and listen to MK, because I know I will. I hope there's a chance where I can call in.
As long as you have like an industrial sized urn of coffee, then you're in.
And I'm looking forward to Monday. Livingston has they always have the Memorial Day parade. We've been rained out the last few years and stuff, so I like to go. I sit on the sidewalk. They usually have a car show over at the high school and stuff. So it's kind of nice. Looking forward to it. And if we get good weather, all the best. So, and it should be a great sports weekend, you know. And by the way, you got the Indianapolis 500. This is Danica's last Indy 500, and you know, if they were smart, and Indy was smart, and she's hosting the ESPYs, by the way, if they were smart, they'd find a way for her to win this race. And she's going out, and I guess she's retiring, but find a way, give her a win. Will somebody slow down, hit the brake, and let her go by you? Let her win, and that would be just wonderful. So it would be great for the sport, I think, and she's been a great sport. She's never won a race and whatever, but she's hanging in there. And let me tell you something. You drive 500 miles around a track in 110 degrees, covered in uniform, and you can't even breathe in there. So, you know what? That's pretty cool. She's got it all together. And I was listening to an interview with her. She's really well-spoken, smart lady. She's got a good future ahead of her. And anybody can get into a car and go 150 miles an hour, and that's just amazing. So, all right. So, anyway, tonight you got Golden State and Houston. In Houston should be a really good game. Now, you know, Houston, if you want to make a mark in this series, you can't obviously lose, because you're not going to, this is the game, especially if these two guys, even if they play, you know they're not 100%. So, you know, you got to keep the defensive. It was just an amazing game the other night. I was looking, they were down by 10, and all of a sudden they were winning. And it was crazy. So, and to hold the Golden State Warriors to 12 points in the fourth quarter is just amazing. So that crowd is going to be pumped up. You got Stanley Cup Finals. I believe it either starts on Saturday or Sunday. That should be a doozy. You got the Yankees, I believe, are in town this weekend. Yeah, the LA Angels are in town. We got a lot of things going on, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, obviously safe. If you drink, call Uber, call your neighbor, or walk home. Don't. By the way, call the police. They're obligated to take you home. So do the right thing and have a safe, wonderful, and I hope you're watching or listening that it's sunny and everybody's healthy and all the good stuff that happens to happen. All right, looks like we're coming to this week's show to an end. We'll see you Tuesday on the sister station. Up next on WMTR is the All Night Jersey Diner. As always, I hope your team wins. I want to thank MKE behind the glass and making it happen. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank our callers. And I especially want to thank you, the listeners. You've been listening to Talking Sports on a Thursday. I'm John Friedman. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hi, this is Jonathan Friedman. You might know me as the host of Talking Sports here on WMTR, but I do have a day job. I'm the Business Development Director at SCG Advertising and Public Relations in Parsippany, and I'd like to tell you about how SCG can help advertisers.
Have a nice weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching.
In today's fast-paced, technology-driven world, there are so many options, from all the traditional media to the practically limitless digital and social platforms that are available, making it harder than ever for businesses to get their message in front of the right audience. Well, at SCG, we help our clients strengthen their relationships, reputations, and brands by integrating their message across the entire media spectrum. We understand the options available to advertisers, and we will work with you to determine the best creative and media plan for your business. So learn more about SCG Advertising and Public Relations by visiting scgadv.com. That's scgadv.com. We'll help you reach your potential customers, all of them.
With the Atlanticast Medical Minute, I'm Luke Margolis. According to the American Cancer Society, melanoma is the deadliest form of skin cancer. And joining us now is the medical director for Atlantic.